Well, hello, friends. I have my good friend and fellow YouTuber Dwayne Green on today. You probably know him. He's a pastor in Canada. He does a lot of the same kinds of videos that I do. So, like I said, many of you will already be familiar with him. But I want to launch right into the content, and we're going to rank different Bible translations on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely perfect, 1 being absolutely horrible, and get Dwayne's thoughts on this. Now, we haven't done a lot of preparation for this, so I'm just kind of throwing this at him and giving his honest, raw feedback. So make sure you look in the description. I've got a link to Dwayne's channel, but let's launch right into this. Dwayne, ESV, what do you think?
ESV. Okay. ESV. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest English Bible translation of all time, I think the ESV would probably be like a 4. A 4. Yeah, let's go with a 4.
4. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
So
here's
I
what. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just thinking I'm trying to think if there's 6 more that'll go over top of that.
Okay, okay. Well, I'd rank it pretty high. I mean, I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say NASB, I mean ESV, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
ESV I would put around a 6 or 7. I mean, I like it's fairly I like formal translations, so pretty close
Yep.
to
Yep.
word to word. ESV's sort of got that going on for it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like that it's based more on the critical text, so I'm more of a Byzantine guy like you yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, it loses a point for it being based on the critical text in my mind.
Yep.
The footnotes aren't too extensive to even let you know when some of the
No, no. It's not
yeah,
like you got an NKJV going there, right?
right, no,
Or
exactly. But
or
and some
Adams.
yeah, or Adam Boyd's translation for
Yeah.
sure, which we'll put in here too. We'll discuss that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would put it a little higher probably. I'd probably say about a 6 or 7. I'm gonna go say 6.5 because sometimes even the formal translation it veers a little bit more idiomatic. Some people are gonna like that
Sure.
more, but I that's where I would land. Okay, here's one. NIV, what do you say? Scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah. Which NIV? Because there's one that's absolutely horrid. Was that the 2016?
Yeah,
Which
I
one?
can't.
There's like three or
So
four of
so
them
let's
now,
go
right?
with the one that's gone with the gender inclusive language, which is probably one of the most recent ones.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going down to like a 2 or 3 at this point.
2 or 3. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have much. I don't have much good to say about the NIV. I
Right.
think the one of the additions to the NIV they selected because the NIV has its own textual basis, right? It doesn't use the Nestle Aland text and it doesn't use like the TR or anything. So its New Testament is sort of I don't want to say picked and choosed. I guess that's not really the right way to say it, but they went with this one variant reading in Mark 1, I think it's 48, where the question is whether Jesus was filled with compassion or whether he was angered and then he healed the guy there. And they went with he was angered, and there I think there's only like one Greek manuscript that has that reading in it, and it's like, why did you do that? Why did you go there? Not even the critical text does that. So anyway, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a 2 or 3. It's down there. It's pretty low.
Yeah. And the one manuscript that does that is I think Codex Bezae. Is that right?
D.
D. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it's known for its wild reading
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
It's not a good manuscript.
No, no, no. I think most people would agree on that overall, although it's fairly early. Um,
Hmm.
okay, so here's one, and don't feel obligated on this one because you might not have reviewed this. Most people haven't. I have, and so I just want to see, have you ever spent any time with the not the NASB, but either the RV, the original revised version, or the American Standard version, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, I the RV, yeah, RV, ASV, there one's British and one's American, right?
Right.
Um, I spent a little bit of time in the ASV, but I mean the language is cool. It sounds like a King James. It's
Mm-hmm.
close, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I would give that a little bit more than the NIV. I'd probably put that around a 4 or 5. it's critical text, right?
Yes.
But I think
Yeah.
it's a little more what's the term? It's a little more literal than most. So I think I'd give it a 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about the New American Standard Bible? Will be specific here, 1995 before these latest updates.
Okay, yeah. So 95, we'll give it a 6 or 7. I'll give that one a little more.
Okay.
That's yeah, I've got one hanging around here. I don't use it a whole lot because I have other favorites. But
Yeah.
yeah, I the 95 is a lot better than 2020 for sure.
So the NASB, I would put that probably about maybe a 7 or 8. And I would say that, yeah, I would. It's not as literal as some people think. The American Standard Version or Revised Version was much more
Mhm.
literal. And yeah, it does take some liberties. In fact, um, I think the King James Version is more literal than the New American
Mhm.
Standard Bible. But yeah, and so I like very formal, very literal translations. So, but I think it's a very good one. So. Okay, here we go. And I think I know where you're going to land pretty close on this one.
Okay. All right. All right.
NKJV.
NKJV. Yeah, that's going to be a number one.
Okay.
That's going to be for all the English speakers. That's going to be a number one. And the reason why is one because it's a TR based translation. I'm not a TR guy, but the TR and the business is so close it almost doesn't matter. Just a few readings. If you saw my last live stream, you'll see where those readings came down. And then it's got the marginal notes in there. Now, if there was to be an update to the NKJV, it would be the marginal notes because there's so much more that's come out since 1984, but it hasn't changed since 1984. Like that's another plus. I got a couple videos explaining why I think the NKJV is the best. So yeah, I would give the NKJV the number one spot for sure, hands
Okay.
down.
All right.
But I'm a
So
Pentecostal, so hands in the air.
so I think we're actually doing this a little different. So I'm saying 10 is the best. You're saying 1 is the
Oh,
best. So I think we're
we did the onesie too. Okay, 10. I'll join
you're
I'll join
10.
your club. It's the
10.
number 10.
So you say number 10. So you say the NKJV is about as good as you can get.
Yeah.
it- so that would let's go back. So NIV, you put that um about where?
Yeah, like 4.
4. Okay. R
4, yeah.
so ASV, RV,
We would do that 6-ish,
6.
7, yeah.
Yeah. NASB.
We would do that a 7.
Okay. All right. So now we're kind of back on the
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah, right wavelength here. Okay. Uh NLT.
NLT. I do not like the NLT. That's like a 2.
It's 2. Okay. All
The
right.
only reason why it's not a 1 is because I know some people have used it, have been blessed, and they have fruitful lives and stuff, and all that kind of good stuff. But I'm just not a fan of dynamic translations, not at all. I think you can have way too much interpretive license in there, and you lose the meaning. There's yeah, I won't bother with too many examples, but I did touch on it in a live stream before. But yeah,
Yeah.
2,
2.
2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Amplified Bible.
amplify is going to be somewhere around 2 or 3. Yeah, I think with the amplified, the words that they put in the brackets there to help explain the one word can sometimes go a bit too far in either direction and mislead and give not quite exact information. So amplified, it's a bit, and I mean it's annoying to read too. You can't just sit down and read it because there's just so much clutter in it.
Yeah. How about have you used Young's literal translation?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Okay.
I can't really give you.
I would put it at about a 7. I've used it quite a bit. I like it and
Okay.
it's pretty good. Um, I would say that it loses some points just because it's a single person translation in my mind.
Yeah.
It's based on the Textus Receptus. I wish it was based more on the Byzantine text. That's not a huge difference there, but a little
Hmm.
bit. So I put it about a 7 or 8. I think it's a nice.
Okay.
Although maybe we got to put it a little lower because nobody uses it, right?
That's true. That's true.
It's an
Actually,
obscure.
there is one person that I know that uses it, and they use it because it's easier to get false teachings through
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, the person, yeah, I don't really know this person, but I've heard some stories about this individual, and we've discussed some of the things that they were talking about in a group once. So yeah, and then they use the YLT because, well, yeah. So I don't know exactly. I can't remember what exactly the idea was. I think maybe it had something to do with like annihilationism or something along those lines. And he was using the Young's literal translation of eternal, which is into the ages or into the age of ages. He was
Hmm.
using that in a way which was not as it was intended. It was really, really strange. Um, that's really the only experience that I have with the YLT. So I
Okay.
guess it's got a bad taste in my mouth. You know how that happens. Something happens that flavors your view of it.
So, Legacy Standard Bible.
Ugh, ugh, ugh. You know what? I'm going not because it's necessarily a bad translation. I haven't used it, and I just don't see a need to use it. So if you're a NASB 95 person, you don't need it because it's pretty much that, from what I understand. My whole shtick is we don't need any more English Bible translations. There's so many already, and there's good ones and there's bad ones, and like, what's the point of bringing another one to a market? I just don't see the reason for it. So where would I put that? I don't know. I guess I'd make it a 3 or 4 just because it's not necessary.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Here's the interesting thing for
Yeah.
me on this one, though, is I've used it some, and I think it's better than the NASB. And there are some
Mm.
places that, uh, so there's some places where you're reading um, the Greek text, and the only translation that I know of that bring out a nuance is the Legacy Standard Bible.
Mm.
And part of that is because of their, this might be a fault to some people, but they're very focused on trying to translate words the same way. That could be a fault sometimes, but sometimes it allows you to see connections in the text that are in the Greek text that don't come through in English because we need a different English gloss to kind of
Right.
smooth it out a bit. And so I've been pretty impressed with the Legacy Standard Bible overall.
Oh,
I'm with
good,
you.
good.
I kind of it does seem like an unnecessary translation in some ways, but yeah, I've actually, if I were a critical text guide, that would be the Bible I probably would use.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So what did you put on it? What number did you give it?
7, 8, I would say 8
7, 8.
probably.
Okay, so it's up
Yeah.
there. It's up there. Okay.
Yeah. How about the MIV, Modern
And
English
modern
Version?
English version. I spent a little bit of time in it. Um, it's I found this is a weird criticism. Okay, I found I was reading some of the epistles, and I found the sentences were just too short. Like, it seemed to me that there were some places that read like a child's book. And it was just very short sentences, very like, and then um, I hope he doesn't watch this. No, and then it's there's a number of errors in it, and there's supposed to be like a second edition coming out, but that's been the case. It's like, Cold Fusion. It's coming every. It's almost here, but it's never here. Yeah, there's been rumblings for the last number of years about a second edition coming out. Maybe now it kind of it hurts a little bit because it's a TR translation, and I'd like to see a TR translation done well. But this one I'd probably give it like a 5, just because it's a TR translation, and
Yeah, I would be with you. I'd probably about a 5. It's too informal. In other words, too dynamic for my taste. I mean, some people are gonna like
Yeah.
that, but it's too loose sometimes in its renderings, in my opinion. But uh, how about the Net Bible?
Okay, so the Net Bible, I don't like the translation. But I do like the notes. So translation, I give it a 3. It's really dynamic. Again, I'm not a big dynamic guy, um, but the notes are excellent. Now they do have a critical text bent to them, but if you know what you're looking for, then there's lots of really good information in there for sure.
Yeah, good, good. Um, So, Adam Boyd's translation, the uh, what is it? Text critical Byzantine text. What's that? I
Yeah, the
should have it in.
it is the English. Oh, I have it around. I had it down here. I'm looking. I must have taken it upstairs. The English, the text critical English Greek New Testament Byzantine edition or something like that. It's
Yeah.
a really long title.
I'll leave a link
Um,
in the description. I think we both have interest in it being widely distributed. Not that we make
yeah,
any money on it, but
yeah.
we like Adam, but more importantly, I think some of the information that's in it's really fascinating to both, I think, our
Yes.
viewerships.
Yeah. So the translation. So again, I have a thing for committee-based translations, right? So committee-based, in my opinion, if you're going to do anything, it probably should be committee-based. Now, make a good supplement. I think his translation makes a good supplement. So I'd probably give it like a 6 or 7 because it's Byzantine. But then we'll bump it up to an 8 because the notes in there are unrivaled. You don't have to be like a Greek specialist to understand what the notes are, and they're really what's the term when there's a lot? There's it's right on the tip of my
Copious.
my tongue here. Copious, yeah. There's copious amounts. It's exhaustive. That's it. It's exhaustive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Strong's exhaustive concordance, while you've got Adam Boyd's exhaustive critical apparatus in English. So you can see all of the English translation differences. I don't know if you would say all. Maybe he missed one or two or something like that, but for the most part, I think they're pretty much all in there. So all the English translations are in the footnotes, and you're going to see where it differs from various editions of the Greek New Testament. So yeah, I'd give it an 8 for sure. It's
Yeah.
excellent to have in your library.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the notes, as I recall, yeah, they show you differences. Does it show you actually English translation differences? You probably looked at it more recently
Yeah,
than I
the
did.
English one does. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Between different between different versions, or like does it show you like critical text? I was thinking it was like critical text.
yeah. He shows, so it's in English,
Hmm.
but then it shows like critical text, Byzantine text. I think he's got um the Antoniades in there. He's got the Byzantine text. He's got I think he has THGNT, the Textus Receptus. I think he's got Scrivener in there and a couple others. Like, yeah, it's pretty exhaustive.
And basically it covers everything which he deemed to be a translatable difference.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, just a couple more here, and we'll finish on an important
All
one
right.
that I really want to
Okay.
get your opinion on. Uh, let's do NRSV.
Yeah. I I don't really use it. So I know I ran into it from, I was reading Gordon Fee's book, How to Read the Bible for All It's Worth, and he swears by the NRSV, but he also like hates the NKJV. He's got some very not subtle words there. Um, no, the only sort of thing that I'm aware of with the NRSV is the whole translation of virgin to young woman in Isaiah and the prophecy in Matthew, I believe it is. So um, probably not, something that we should should be doing. I understand there's some arguments for that. That's fine. But then there's the NRSV updated edition, which is the changes there are so significant in my mind that I think we should just trash it. So um, I don't know how closely they're related. So I would maybe give it a 3 or a 4,
Mm,
just because
mm-hmm,
I don't use it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, okay, two more. CSB, that used to be called the Holman Christian Standard Bible. I think you
Yeah,
did a
that's right.
review at one time.
I did. Did you know that was supposed to be a Textus Receptus Bible?
My understanding was that it was going to be a Byzantine,
Or maybe
like
it was. You're right.
yeah, I
And
think it was
then
going to be like a majority text thing. Yeah.
Arthur Farstad passed away,
Uh,
and who I forget who took it, who took the project on, but he shifted it over to a critical text base. But yeah, the CSB, I find it's really good for English as second language speakers. That's kind of like the main. And if you're going to read it for the narratives, it's excellent. So if you're going to go through the historical books in the Old Testament, if you're going to read through even some portions of the Gospels and stuff like that, you're going to get a pretty general idea, and it flows really well. But again, it kind of straddles the line between dynamic and literal, right? Like it's right there. It's got a foot in both, straddling the fence. So I would give it I would give it like probably a 7, even though I'm not really a dynamic guy. But to recommend something like the CSB for English as a second language, guys, I think it works really well.
Yeah, no, that's good. Um, okay, here's your favorite translation. Passion Translation. Well,
That's funny. That's funny. Uh, 0. Let's not let's don't even. Now I actually walked through the first chapter of John, and just compared it with the text behind it, with the critical text, and it's awful how much he adds. It's not that he's taken anything away. What he's doing is he's adding significantly onto the words there. Like the passage in John 1 where he says, Moses gave us the law, but Jesus, the anointed one, unveils truth wrapped in tender mercy. I can't. So that's a big like 11. That's a big let's those guys who kicked the Bible for what is it? For Super Bowl Sunday, and it made the news articles and everything. Yeah, if they were doing that to the TPT, it probably wouldn't be so bad.
so if we said 10 was the worst, you would say this is an 11. If we said 1 is the worst, you would say this is a
Oh,
0.
right. Yeah. We inverted that. Okay. So yeah, this is like negative numbers. Yeah. Yeah. We're talking imaginary numbers now.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, friends, thank you for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun.